So it took me about a good month to find a good trucking school. There's actually a pretty good amount of options out here where I am in California, but they kind of wanting all your money, and it took me a little while to find one. I eventually did find one, and I actually was sponsored, so they paid for my trucking school as well. So if you're in the process of trying to get your CDL, look to see if there's any kind of assistance that you can get, any kind of adult schools or anything in your area that will pay either pay the full price for or pay majority for you to get your CDL. Because there's a lot of different options out here. You don't have to come straight out of pocket. And it took me a little while to find a good trucking school that'll be sponsored, but I eventually found one. Sign up process was pretty quick and easy, and I started my classes probably about a good 2 weeks later. Now, the first week was classroom stuff. I actually did mines at home online. My trucking school had that option. Did mines at home online. I just watched a pretty good amount of videos talking about the ins and outs of a truck, how it operates, and what I should expect with the job. And at the end of that week, I had to go into the actual building and go and get my permit. So they gave me my information. I had to submit a physical in order for me to get a medical card so I can take the medical card to the DMV. And then the DMV would give me my permit if I was able to pass the general knowledge test, the air brakes test, the combination test, and whatever endorsements I wanted to also add to my license. Now, I was planning on doing hazmat and tanker, which I actually did. The one thing I would say about the DMV is don't go to the DMV assuming that the person you're speaking with knows everything. Because the one thing I learned is that everybody that's meeting somebody and talking to somebody at the DMV, it's almost as if everybody kind of has their own thing that they tell people. I was told that I have to wait until I get my license in order to get a hazmat endorsement. Simply just do the test, which was actually false because once I went back to my school the next week, multiple people in my same class had a hazmat endorsement added to their license. And I was like, how did y'all get it? And I was told that I have to wait until I get my license. Some of those people in there have been working there for a while, so they know what they're talking about. And then there's other people in there that just pulling stuff out of a hat. So ask questions. Ask for a supervisor if it's something that don't sound good, because they even though customer service don't exist at the DMV, they at least have to abide by their rules. So ask for a supervisor. You don't have to cause no scene or nothing, but ask for a supervisor just to get the correct information, because I had to go to the DMV multiple times throughout the course of X amount of weeks in order to get stuff straightened and correct. So I didn't immediately get my hazmat endorsement. I got tankers and doubles and triples and all of that other stuff. I didn't even care to get all of that. So I went through that process. I passed my test, so I got my permit, and then I went back to my school in order to start the week 2 of doing skills and maneuvers and stuff in the truck, just kind of seeing how the truck works. Now, to rewind a little bit, when it comes to the DMV test, that DMV test, I would say, when you taking that test, read it slow, like I did. I read it real slow, and I would say answer the questions and the idea of everything being surrounded in safety. Because I did take it twice. I took not every test, but I took some tests twice and then passed it on the last try. But just to keep you from failing, don't rush. I don't even care if you feel very confident in doing it. Don't rush taking your test. Take your time. You're not timed. Take your time and get through that test so you can get your permit, so you can continue to go about getting your license. Now, I passed my test, got my permit, started the second week of school, which consisted of pre-trip, air brakes, and that was really it. I worked on that for probably about the next 2 weeks. It's memorizing pre-trip, because that's kind of a lot when it comes to the DMV. Now, they handed me a packet, said these are all the parts of the truck that you need to know, with a crack, broken, leaking, and you have to be able to memorize this and to be able to recite it to the DMV tester that is going to be evaluating you when you're trying to get your actual license. So read that bad boy like a book. Do it to your own personal vehicle. Do it when you're on break at your job. Be confident in you knowing what that thing is. And one thing I would say also is keep it short and sweet. You don't have to go into detail on what this part actually does and what this piece does, because I would be adding stuff that would make this a whole lot more difficult than it actually should have been. So this part right here does this. It is not cracked, broken, or leaking. Move on. Move on to the next one. But you're going to find a little rhythm. You're going to find your way of saying your speech or giving your spiel and passing that good old pre-trip. I passed mine. DMV instructor actually didn't even allow me to finish because I was already doing so good at it. Air brakes. Air brakes is a automatic fail. If you miss any parts of air brakes, you will automatically fail your DMV test. So do that over and over again in your personal vehicle, in the actual truck, to make sure that you are confident and you got this down pat. They're going to test everything from you being able to read the air pressure gauge, because if you never looked at an air pressure gauge in a truck, it is kind of confusing if you don't know how to read it. So understand that there are actually videos on YouTube too that you can watch that'll kind of instruct you on how to read it. But I have heard about people who failed their DMV test, who failed their air brake test because they gave the wrong reading simply for the air pressure gauge. It ain't no rush. They not rushing you. The actual person that tested me, he didn't even tell me, okay, this is what we're going to do next. This is what we're going to do next. He basically just said, this is your test. You tell me. You tell me what we're going to do. So I conducted my DMV test. And I was pretty confident in being able to do it. So air brakes, anything you miss on the air brakes is going to be an automatic fail. Now, when it comes to in-cab inspection, that's pretty easy. Memorize what it says on the paper and recite that very confidently. Don't miss nothing. Now, when it comes to the driving is where you need to pay attention. Now, I did mine in a manual transmission, so I won't have that restriction on my license. If you do your tests in a automatic, you will be restricted to only driving automatic trucks, which means that you might not be able to get a job at every company because some trucks still have manual transmissions. And if you don't know how to drive a manual transmission, why not try? They're not going to penalize you if you try it. Most schools have both. So don't just go in there and say, I want to drive an automatic and just leave it at that. Try it. It actually, if you're a coordinated person, if you know how to move your arms and your feet at the same time and do other stuff, then you can probably get it. So don't give yourself that restriction. And if you just don't care, if you just want an automatic truck, go ahead with that either. Go ahead with that too, because there's a lot of companies out here that have automatic trucks nowadays anyway. But I went through that process. What I was told during the driving test is that there are a lot of automatic fails. If you don't completely stop at a red light or red or stop sign, that's an automatic fail. If a pedestrian is in the crosswalk and they have not completely got out of the street, that can be an automatic fail if you start moving. If you see someone in the street doing something weird and the only reason why I say this is because I took my driving test in an actual like weird part. The DMV was located in a downtown area, and there was nothing but homeless people down there. So people stepping in the road, people crossing the street, all different random places, and I literally had to I literally had to be observant. And also, with me doing this, you want to make sure that you are looking at your mirrors. Looking at your mirrors is not an automatic fail, but it is points. And you get a total of 30 points. So if you're not actively looking, I'm saying like looking as in turning your head. That's why I wore a hat when I took my test, because I wanted them to see me moving my head left and right and checking my mirrors. They want you to constantly be doing that every 5 to whatever seconds. Scanning for hazards, being aware of your surroundings, and making sure that you know what you're doing behind the wheel of this truck. Also, signal lights. I drove a truck that wasn't necessarily the newest, so the signal lights don't just go off after you make a turn or go off after you change a lane. You have to actively turn them off yourself. And there were some people who actually failed their test. It was not an automatic fail, but they failed their test because they kept forgetting to turn their signal lights off. Now, this all just depends on the DMV tester. Some people are a little bit more lenient. Other people are straight up strict, and they want you to do everything correct and in order. I had a pretty cool dude, so he wasn't that bad, but he made sure his job was done. He made sure he was very thorough and I didn't miss nothing. But once I say, if you are learning in a manual transmission, get very familiar with shifting up and shifting down, double clutching, all that good stuff, because you don't want to be in the middle of your test trying to figure out how to shift correctly. You want to have all your attention on the road to be able to watch for any hazards and anything that could be a distraction or anything that could be a situation. I live in California and I'm from Texas. I've only been in California for about a year, and it's some inconsiderate people out here. I know that's probably gonna make some people mad, but people out here don't care where you're going. They don't care what you got going on. They don't care what you're doing. And the one thing I noticed about California too is people don't like stopping, which pretty much says the name of what it means to make a California stop. You don't really stop. You just slowly let your car roll and then go. But while you're in the middle of a DMV test, you can't do that. When you come up to a stop sign, when you come up to a red light, that truck needs to stop. And even if you try to inch forward just to get yourself a better angle of looking, that truck needs to come to another stop. If you pop any curves, if you run over a curve with your trailer or the cab, automatic fail. If you're not signaling, I think there was one that if you cannot switch lanes in an intersection, I don't think that's an automatic fail, but it is a no-go. Don't do it. You cannot turn your signal lights off until you are completely in the lane. That's another good one. Ultimately, when you get in the truck with the instructor or with the DMV person, they're going to raise their seat up the same height as you so they can see what you can see. So if you're pulling up to a stop sign and there's a crosswalk and you cannot see both lines in the crosswalk, they can tell that you can't see. You have to stop behind that line to where you can see both lines of the crosswalk. Otherwise, those are things that are going to rack up on you. You have, like I said, you have a total of 30 points that you can get. After at 30 points, then that's pretty much the end of your test. My test actually wasn't bad at all. I actually did take my test twice. I took my test twice. The first time, I did great at air brakes. I did great at pre-trip. I did great at in-cab inspection. And then when I started driving, I literally got stumped at a yield sign. I failed at the yield sign because I sat at it for too long, and I had to reschedule in order to come in and do a driving test only, which I passed. So my school gave me 2 tries, 2 chances to take a test. I took the test the second time, passed, and got my license. The one thing I would say is, yeah, pay attention to all the small things. If you don't use your signal lights in your car now, start doing it just to get in the habit of doing it. If you don't check your mirrors constantly, start doing it now just to get in the habit of doing it. But going through the whole process, it actually wasn't bad at all. I've always had a good ability to be able to maneuver bigger vehicles. I got a good sense of direction. I'm very coordinated, so maneuvering this big old truck ain't no problem. It's getting past the DMV. Once you get past the DMV, once you pass that test, you can throw all that stuff out the window. Start floating gears, whatever it is you want to do. But one thing you don't want to do is just not study at all, not do no practicing, and then expect for you to be able to just pass when you get to your actual DMV test. Now, we did skills too. The DMV is going to require you to do your pre-trip, your air brakes, your in-cab inspection, your skills and maneuvers, and your driving test. Skills and maneuvers, I knew I was good at that. The only thing I got to do is bag this bad boy up in a straight line, pull it forward in a straight line, and then do a forward offset and a reverse offset, kind of like parallel parking a truck. I was pretty confident in that, and I passed it with no problem. They allow you to get out when you're doing a reverse offset. They allow you to get out your truck twice without any points, and they allow you to it was something else that they allow twice. But yeah, they allow you to get out your truck twice when you're doing the reverse offset, not every single maneuver. When you're doing a reverse offset, and double check where you are. And you got to make sure once you get back in that truck, put my seatbelt on, pop my brakes, and honk the horn. That is your way of letting them know that you completed your test. I did great at that. That wasn't a big issue. That wasn't a problem at all. It was just when it came to the driving where I messed up. Now, there were some people that said, well, when you're on your way to the skills yard, they're not testing you on driving. They're not testing you. They're not going to do your road test until after you do your skills. And wrong. I took that and I was thinking that, oh, I'm just going to the skills yard, so I'm fine. They're not testing me. And he all along was. He was making sure I was driving correct and proper. And honestly, that's where I messed up my first time. It's because I was too laxed. So the second time I went in there, I was on my stuff. I was on it. For anybody who's looking to get their CDL, might seem like it's a big opportunity or a big kind of thing that you're stepping off into, but honestly, it's rewarding if you are a person like me. I can't stand regular jobs. I can't stand them. For me to go to a job and clock in and be in the same building with my supervisor all day, for me to be micromanaged and people walking beside me, I got to be in a break room with a bunch of different people. I don't know what it is, but I'm always that kind of person who, if I'm in a building, I'm going to go take my break outside. I don't care if I got a 15-minute break. I'm going outside just because I like the freedom of being in the open world. I like the freedom of being on the road and just moving about. And even when I am in the building, I'm constantly looking outside. Thinking of, I don't care if it's raining out there. I want to be outside. I've never cared for these indoor jobs, and it doesn't make it any better that a lot of these jobs don't pay much. They don't really. They kind of treat you like oh, we gonna work y'all butts off. We gonna yeah, demand y'all to do this, that, and the other. Come in on your off days, work all this overtime, and we still gonna send you home with enough money to put gas in your car, pay your bills, and then come back to work. I don't like that. I never have. So for me to be a truck driver now, man, it is a breath of fresh air. I can get in the truck, even if I do get irritated with somebody at my job, I can drive the pain off. Turn on the radio, listen to some music, and pray to God, hey, and go on about my day. I do not like being confined to a building, and I also don't like being just looked at like I'm not worth anything. And then when you get a CDL, you can literally work anywhere in the United States of America. Now, this is anywhere in any part of the world, but you can be living in California and get a job in Texas. You could be living in Texas and get a job in Louisiana. You're a truck driver, and there are a lot of companies that will hire you, ask you where you are, and they will fly you out to pick up your truck and to start driving about. They literally will do that because truck drivers are very much needed. And now that they have a lot of automatics, a lot of people are wanting to drive trucks. So if you haven't thought of it, if you are thinking of it, I'm a man of God, so I'm going to tell you to pray about it. And hey, watch how those doors open up for you. Because I start my very first trucking job on the 16th. And it's December. And I'll be off for the holiday, so I don't have to worry about working then. But after that, man, freedom, but still working and taking care of my family, but not being confined and not being treated like I'm just somebody getting the table scraps. I'm excited. And I hope this was able to help you. I hope you're able to find a decent trucking school, and I might start vlogging while I'm on the road as well, just to kind of give you my update and on the job that I'm working at or my experience. So yeah, let me know if you need more of these. God bless you.